So about a year ago, or maybe even more, the bioeconomy strategy stated a very bold target for Finnish bioeconomy. We should double the value added. And then my colleague Jani Lehto asked when he came to me that, hey, do you really understand what that would mean from forest sector perspective? Is this realistic at all? And then we started to make different kind of studies. I come back to that in a moment, but why do we need to double the value added? The first thing is that there has been a luxury of sort of taking increasing forest growth granted in Finland and also in EU. We can see here that in 2013 the growth rates, let's see if this pointer starts to work somehow. Now it works. The growth that had been continuing since 70s, it started to decline. There was a similar trend or development also in Sweden. The very same year in our neighboring country, the forest growth started to decline. And both in Finland and Sweden, we are using fairly intensively wood resources, but in Norway, where they are harvesting only about half. Let's try like that first, and then I point it here. Only half of the growth. Still, in 2013, the forest started to grow slower. Nonetheless, I have to underline that still our forests are growing. If I take EU-wide figures, about 30% more than we are harvesting. So there is forest resources increasing year after year, but the rate has started to decline. There are many reasons for that. One is the fact that after the Second World War, there was a really intensive plantation campaign all over Europe, and those trees that were then planted are now aging, and especially spruce-dominated stands are suffering from drought and adverse effects of climate change. And here we can, this is tricky new technology for old timer. But it starts to wake up when I point to the screen. But yeah, this works now fine. But isn't it showing anything? I have to be the. Oh, okay. Now I press, and should I press it again?
Yes, now.
But then you see, but I can't see. But nonetheless, there you can see that since 50s, the forest disturbances have been increasing dramatically in European Union. The yellow points here are wind disturbances, and then most alarmingly, the insect outbreaks have been increasing in very recent years. I met my colleague Scott from BC, and there we probably have seen the world's largest insect outbreaks that have caused a decline of forest growth. Actually, the forest mass that was lost equals to Finland's whole forest growing stock, all trees that we have. And the forest fires that we have seen, especially in Canada, they total 2.3 billion tons of CO2 equivalents. And if we compare that with Finnish forests' capacity to capture carbon, it would take 400 years us to take that CO2 back. So really the capacity and growth of forests is no more increasing. And also energy transition is impacting the land use. And on top of that, we have limitations coming from the EU. There are more than 70 regulations that are pointing towards forest, and majority of those are reducing the available wood supply for forest industries. So we can't grow by growing the use of forest resources. And also the restoration that has now been heavily criticized is one of the topics that is not only costing it's filthy expensive for Finland, but it's also reducing available wood supply. So we need more added value from forests. There are two studies that I'm referring to. First, Lintunen and colleagues, and then the other one, Österberg, Monica and colleagues, done in the science panel. And what we aimed is simply here. Here is the added value of forest sector in 2019 with a green section, and this is where we are aiming at 17 billion euros in 2035. This is really unrealistic if you first think, but in 2005, when there was the golden age of lightweight coated printing papers and Finnish forest industry was flourishing, the value added was 14 billion euros. So we only need to rediscover paper that is not paper because nobody is using it anymore. What we did, we divided simply the sectors to mechanical wood processing industries and fiber processes, and then subsequently the idea was very simple. We have to quantify what Finseres has been invented, and amongst other engineering, let's say, societies, what could be the potential market volume of that specific product or product group, and what is the price they are willing or capable to pay in the markets. And then we guesstimated what could be the share of the Finnish forest sector to produce that. And here I take first an example of pulping sector or fiber sector. We are now exporting 1,000 kilotons of pulp in Finland. It's going primarily to Central Europe, but also to China. But if we would further process that, we could get higher refining value, cellulose plus 1.5 billion, packaging plus textile fibers, membranes, and wound care products, so that it would total 3 billion euros additional added value. And then another example in lignin-based products, if 40% of lignin that is being currently burned could be converted to value-added products, it could turn out to 1.5 billion value added. And this can be done because now the energy efficiency of, probably I'm using the wrong word, but recovery boilers has been greatly improving, and we don't need that much lignin to run the pulping processes as we did before. And when we are looking at the whole thing, it looks like this. There is the starting point, 2019. There is also the section of forestry that is equally increasing because the raw material paying capacity is increasing when we have more value-added products in our product portfolio. The large part of these, now I try once again, let's see what happens. It's really, really tricky. I don't mind. But then sawmilling industries products are here, the mechanical wood processing industries, and as you can see clearly the most important room for growth is in fiber-based products. There are things like nanocellulose, lignin-based stuff and others, but maybe I move to the very last figure, which is probably the most important one. Here we can see the relative added value, the volume times unit price. This publication was published on Monday this week. So there are products like sawmilling products where it's only a couple of hundreds of euros per cubic meter of ready-made products. And then there are packaging materials, and this describes the volume of the market that could be achieved together with its added value. And there in the top, you can almost in the ceiling, you can see medical applications. Their value is huge per kilogram, but you can't produce them in tons very much because the world market, the world market cannot absorb so much the material. And this is a very important point. We often think that these top-end products are the problem solvers, but it's like in mechanical wood processing. If we made toothpicks out of our sawn timber, it would be a really high-end value product, price per kilogram, but in the end of the day, there are not that many people in the world that they could use our production. So, question to the industry guys here, also ministry guys. Now you just have to pick that dot from that previous picture and decide what you are going to push to the industrial scale production. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Antti. And as Antti was posing the question to the industry, and they can now think about where they would put their bets. If you were a gambling man, where would you put your bet on your question?
I am not. But at the moment there are a lot of pilot scale and almost demonstration scale processing lines with textiles. Something will happen there pretty soon. So there's going to be industrial scale production. The question from the Finnish perspective is whether it's in Finland or elsewhere in the world.
All right, thank you, Antti.